What is up, you guys? It is Jake State Farm here with Atomic Theory, back with another Atomic Chess video. This is part 2 of Atomic Chess for Beginners, and taking a bit of a detour today, we are going to be watching my friend Fractal16 play in this hourly Atomic Arena. I'm not sure how long he's going to be playing for, but we're just going to follow him. As you can see, I actually taught him standard chess about a month or two ago, and he wasn't really feeling it, and I was like, well, maybe you should try atomic chess instead. Oh, yeah, lots of moments like this, but that's okay. We're all gonna learn together. Oh my gosh, his opponent just hung mate and won back to him. Yes, dude. Fractal16 is so good, bro. Oh my gosh, he cannot be beaten whatsoever. But yeah, I taught him atomic chess a little bit after that, and he played in an arena, was it last night or a couple nights ago, I think, and he actually was doing really well. I think it's a lot easier. I think atomic chess in general is easier than standard chess, but I think, especially early on, I think it's quite a bit easier because it's so much faster paced, right? Like in standard chess, you have to learn how to checkmate your opponents with just a queen or a rook or very few pieces on the board. Whereas in atomic chess, as you can see from this game, it's very common to get mated in 5 moves or less. So I think he just enjoyed it a little bit more. And so instead of doing an actual like lecture for this part 2 of the Atomic Chess for Beginners, we're just going to be looking at some of his games, seeing how they go, seeing some common mistakes that you may make as you start to play atomic chess, and hopefully we can all learn from it together and get stronger together. So, all right, hopping right back into another game here. So, great move, opening with knight f3. Again, we know our opponent has to play f6, e5, or d6, and our opponent finds one of these moves. Here, I'd love to see something like pawn to e3, just opening up this queen and this bishop. Okay, so instead he goes for d3 here. Not the best move. I guess there may be some threats of knight e5. Yeah, and so if you had played e3 instead and your opponent responded with knight to c6, then you'd actually have mate after knight e5, queen h5, queen d5. So probably could have been played a little bit better there, but okay. Here we need to be wary of our opponent's main threat of knight to g4. Just attacking this pawn, and okay, I guess that technically works. Actually setting a little trap if knight takes d3. He'll have queen d7 here, which could be pretty nice. Oh. Okay, his opponent left. What a nice guy. His opponent left and he just took a draw. I was actually really impressed. His first 3 games he played, he lost to 2 players rated under 1,000, and then he lost to another guy who had never played atomic chess before. And I thought, yeah, this guy's not going to be very good. But then he very quickly turned it around. I honestly think that he learned faster than myself and faster than a lot of players probably do. So I was very impressed with how fast he was able to pick up on it. Let's see how the arena is going over here. And because it was a draw so early on, he ends up getting 0 points for it. Man, I kind of wish that he had claimed a win. Then he could be tied for first place here. Gotta let him know. Yeah, so, e3 doesn't have to be the move. There's clearly plenty of moves here, and you could develop another knight here. And I've only really showed him the basics, kind of the Atomic Chess for Beginners Part 1 video that I put out. I did that and then a little bit more in depth than that. So we didn't go over concrete openings and stuff that he should be doing. So he's kind of going all based off of intuition right now. So I don't blame him for not playing perfectly, but okay, he should know he's got to play one of these 3 moves. And great, he's learned that f6 is a move that needs to be played. Now thinking ahead, as you want to do, where can the knight move to? Either f5 or b5. Obviously, this move, knight h6, is very common in this position. If your opponent goes knight b5, then you'll have this. B6 doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think he's trying to get his bishop out. Okay, and he does. Now a move like knight c6 is really tempting for me. With the idea of knight takes here, you've got bishop e2. And if knight takes here, you've got knight d4. Okay, instead he goes for this. That's a logical move. But yeah, it kind of loses to this. Where now you're getting forked. But he needs to recognize, okay, great move. Recognizing that the e-pawn was the bigger threat there. Now, let's try to get our pieces out. He loves these bishop c5, bishop c4 moves, which is good in standard chess, but not so much in atomic. Not a bad move, honestly. I would like to see him get his pieces out a little bit, but I wonder if he was trying to go knight f6, and he knew knights on the rim are dim from standard chess, which is probably something that I need to talk to him about and make sure that he's not paying too much attention to that principle. One thing you got to be wary about making a move like this is the fact that you're opening up your opponent's queen here. But overall, I'm pretty happy that he's not hanging mate. I'd be really impressed if he finds king f8 here. Okay, so he knew to get his king away from this pawn, but he still made a move that allowed his opponent mate. And again, his opponent still has mate here, and he finds it this time. But overall, I'm pretty impressed that he was able to see a lot of his opponent's threats. And like this move e6, seeing that his opponent was attacking this pawn on e7, and then seeing that the bishop was attacking here. I think he just thought the queenside castles. I thought maybe he got it confused with kingside castles and thought his king would go all the way over to b8. I'm not sure. But okay. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Unfortunately, I think the Lichess database is down right now, so there's not going to be a good way to go through his opening database and see what openings he's been playing, but I'd be very curious to see what kinds of moves he plays. I think he always likes to start with knight f3 for the most part, which I pretty much said, like, starting off, you probably want to start with either knight f3 or e3, and I explained the ideas behind both of them. Okay. I want to say okay, no. Again, he's going for this move d3. We never really discussed d3 at all, so I'm kind of surprised that he's going for it. We always talked about e3, which just opens up this bishop and this queen this way. So I am a little bit surprised that he keeps going for d3. I'm not sure why he thinks it's the best move. And he seems to like this b3 and b6 as well. This idea is okay in standard chess, you know, fianchettoing the bishop, but it's often just way too slow in atomic and just doesn't make as much sense anyway. You want to be pushing your pawns further. You want to be, I mean, I'm happy with this move, knight to c3. You want to be getting your knights out, certainly. Here he feels a little stuck, I can tell, and honestly I would too. There's not a clear way to continue to improve here. Something like knight g5. After it takes bishop g5, knight f6. I'm a little stumped there. So just looking for attacking moves. There's obviously no knights to b5 because this bishop is just completely cut off. So honestly, his opponent has set up quite nicely here. To, you know, and again, he keeps going for these moves here, but it's just not too effective. It's kind of funny. Okay, so now I'm sure I will play something like castles or maybe a4, but I'm guessing he'll castle. He knows that pins are bad. Okay, that's a good move too. Also getting rid of this pin, freeing up this knight. But he needs to be careful after queen to a3. He may start panicking here. I mean, his opponent, I guess, is technically threatening queen b2 and queen c2. But even after queen b2, you could do something like knight a4. Okay, great move. I love that move. Just castle, get out of the way. Okay, now let's see if he spots this move, knight g4, threatening h2 and f2. I'm sure this move throws him off a bit because he just still is thinking that knights on the rim are dim. Pieces need to be happy. They need to see a lot of squares, which is true. But in Atomic, it's much more common to do something like this because it's all about the potential of where that piece is going. Yes, going knight to h6 is, in a sense, a weakening move because you're cutting off, you're getting less moves that you can go to as opposed to knight f6. But in Atomic, generally the threats are so big that it doesn't really matter. Whoa. I don't know if his opponent doesn't see that he can take. I'm guessing his opponent is just kind of BMing him here, which is too bad. I mean, if Fractal was like 2200, it'd make sense, but he's a brand new player, and his opponent should be able to look at his profile and see that, whereas this guy's played 600 Atomic games, so I certainly hope it's not any kind of BM. It would suck to see that so early on in his Atomic Chess career. All right. So far he is 1-1 and then technically drawn 1 and then 3 losses as well. So just going based off of like the way that he's played, I'd say yes, knight f3's been good. Some things that he's doing that aren't great are pushing these pawns like this. He's done, especially this move d3, he keeps making that move. And then g3 and b3 are honestly just a little slow. He just texted me. I'm going to tell him. All right, here we go. Oh my gosh, playing against a 1900 here. Let's see what he does. Okay, so we actually went over this opening, and oh my gosh, we went over this exact line. Oh, we went over this exact line, and I told him, I literally showed him this exact line, and I said, after knight to c6, it seems that you're overprotecting this square, but if your opponent takes, then it's as if they just played e3, and after knight c6, we know that this is mate because there's queen h5, queen d5, and then there's this double attack here. We went over this exact line. Yeah, oh my gosh, he has another opponent that I think is, unless he just missed the mate in one. Oh my gosh, why are his opponents doing this? Yeah, he needs to, so basically what I told him is f6 is a great counter to knight f3, and e6 is a great counter to e3. So when you see one move, always make the move that counters it well, right? If they start with e3, then you go e6, and then if they go knight f3, f6. Same thing if the order is flipped. If knight f3, just go f6, and if e3, just go e6, and just defend that way. Of course, there's plenty of other ways to play, but that was just kind of my recommendation to him. So it was surprising to see f6 and then knight c6. Granted, it was a while ago. Okay, let's see if he goes e3. Okay, I'm glad. This is still definitely an improvement. Now he's got to see that his opponent is threatening to come into g4. And yeah, this is a common mistake. He's going to think that he's going up material, but that's okay. He's going to learn. This is a common trap in Atomic Chess that if you're just starting out, you'll definitely see quite a bit. And yeah, after knight h6, you think your opponent is just giving this up right here, but instead they actually have knight g4. I used to play Atomic on ICC, and I remember falling for this trap multiple times. A very common trap. It's why this move knight h6 is so deadly, because you are kind of developing the knight while also forcing white to play something like g4, h3, maybe even knight to e5, but forcing white to make some move, and then you will respond with c6, cutting off this knight. But you're going ahead and getting your knight out, which is important for reasons that are beyond the scope of beginner atomic chess. But all that to say, this opening, the two knights opening, is very strong for white. But after knight h6, you need to be very wary of it. So he'll play f6. If his opponent goes knight c3, I would love to see him go knight h6 now. Maybe he'll learn, and he'll try to do the same trap that was just done on him. That's what I would love to see. Of course, his opponent will know it. But that's kind of how you learn openings in atomic chess. Interesting. He goes for e5 instead. Okay, very logical move by his opponent. Yeah, and I know he's worried about this, but c6 is actually not a great move. Unfortunately, he has played a lot of strong players in a row here as well. So that's a nice move by his opponent. This knight can't be taken, threatening here and here. Well played to his opponent there. Yeah, I would have liked to see, because he had just been beaten by this, I would have liked to see knight h6 here. And I'm sure his opponent would have responded with g4, because then after knight takes, he's got knight d5 and this fork here. So knight cannot take on g4 here. He is going, and I see he's observing some of these games, so I wonder if he is checking them with the computer afterwards and seeing what he could do better. That'd be another one of my recommendations for new players. You're going to get beat so quickly, especially against these stronger players. If you can go through and look at your mistakes and just mainly just improve the opening, it'll go a long way. In general, I think it's great to try a bunch of different openings in atomic chess, but when you're just starting out, I'd try a few and then pretty much just narrow it down to one that you really like. And honestly, my recommendation would just be to stick with one opening for as long as possible. And the reason why is because if you try to play too many openings at once when you're first starting out, you're probably just going to end up losing in all of them because you're not going to know the right ideas. Whereas if you're able to master one opening, then you can get really good with it. And then and only then, once you've mastered it, then I would say it's a good idea to continue on and continue looking for other openings to play. But yeah, overall his performance rating is not bad at all. It's still 1300. Unfortunately, he's just had to play against a bunch of strong players here. There's actually nobody in the tournament that's rated like super duper high, but there's a bunch of people that are like 1800 or above. Sorry for yawning. Okay. Up against the 1300 here. I'd like to see e3 or knight c3 here. If he goes knight c3, if knight h6 is played, I'd like to know that he can improve somehow here. Okay, c6 is another defense. It's not as challenging. It's perfectly fine. These moves are both okay. But for the lower level, I would recommend knight h6 just because it's a bit trappier. Worst case scenario, your opponent goes g4, and then you can just respond with pawn to c6. At the high level, c6 and knight h6 are pretty much equal. In fact, c6 may be a little bit stronger. But at the lower level, I definitely would prefer to see knight h6 if I was going to recommend an opening to you. Oh, and that's brutal. Just not seeing queen d2. This has been rough. He played much better the other day. He had some incredible moments. And unfortunately right now, he's just, he's really not considering fully what his opponents can do. He just texted me, said, "Freak, I need more lessons." Alright, so he's going to hop into one more and then I think he'll be done, but that's okay. I don't want it to be a super long video, especially for new atomic chess players. I don't want to bore you to death with an hour-long video or anything like that, so let's hope that he does well in this last game here. Okay, and going up against an 1100 who does berserk him, so we're going to respond with f6, I'm sure. And, okay, knight to d4. I really want to see this move knight to h6 out of him. Even a move like e6 shows that he's looking at this threat. Even really g6 also shows that he's looking at this threat. d5 is a fancy way to defend it as well. So there's lots of ways to defend this threat of knight f5 and this fork here and here. Of course, knight b5 is a threat as well. But it's not as big of a threat. You're not putting a threat on the king. So knight h6 is his best move, but even a move like e6 is a happy move to make for sure. Just shows understanding in the position. Okay, that's actually not bad either. He's setting a little trap after e6 and takes. I wonder if he's looking at knight d4. I actually don't hate knight c6 at all. Okay, it's very scary, but you're not actually threatening any mate at the moment. Like a move like knight h6, I'd love to see, because then after knight takes c8, you'd have knight g4. This is totally fine too. e3 and just taking here and going up a bunch of material. Okay, and he's got it. I'm sure he'll see it. Great. Awesome. I think that's his last game of the tournament. Very happy that he was able to end off with a win there. Yeah, knight c6 is not a bad move at all. Actually, I want to say this is like probably losing, but not so clear. Like for a new player to, right? Like knight f5, e5. You can't take here. It's just knight d4. So it's actually a pretty trappy line. Okay, he just texted me and said one more. Let's go. Oh, with the computer analysis, my computer's gonna slow down here. It's a literal potato. All right, where is he? Oh, he's got 4 points now. All right. Piece of garbage, stupid. Sorry, that was my brother. All right, let's turn the computer off here. All right, one more. Here we go. Oof, playing against another 1900. This is gonna be rough. I'm sure he'll start knight f3 again, and after f6, let's go e3. I want to see e3 here. Okay, continues with knight c3. If we see knight h6, I'd like to know that he's recognizing this position. A move like g4. Okay, great. That's totally fine too. It's not the best way to defend necessarily, but just chop this off now. Don't be scared. Don't even think about it. Oh, and he h3 was such a great move, but then he just gave up knight f2. Oh. I don't know why he didn't just take there. That's very, very sad. Alright, well that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching part 2 of Atomic Chess for Beginners. In future episodes, we'll have much more like actual in-depth study where I'm walking you through stuff, but I hope this video was helpful if you are new to Atomic Chess, just to see some of the patterns from people that are new to the game. And also, I'm excited to see where this goes. I think that he wants to continue to learn, and so who knows, maybe in a few months he'll end up being much, much stronger and really enjoying this variant. But that's all I've got for you guys today. I really appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate y'all's support. Let me know down in the comments if you have any ideas for future episodes of this series, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Peace out.